Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're doing a collective Akashic Records reading on the full moon in Cancer. The questions that we're going to ask are, what is the energy of this full moon? How can we best work with it? What story has unfolded since the corresponding new moon in Cancer on January 25th, 2025? What's come to completion or culmination? What are we releasing, and what's the most important message we need to know? Let's get into it. What is the energy of the Cancer full moon? Something is being opened, revealed, cut open. I'm seeing they're giving me the word wound, but I'm not feeling the visceral pain or suffering around it. It's more like I can see it with my eyes. It doesn't seem to be charged, but I'm seeing almost like a portal wound, like an open wound, but it's like a black kind of cut. It's interesting that it's black, and I'm getting it's empty. It's empty. It's not charged, but there's something about an open wound. It's dried out. It's not harmful. The full moon, the energy of it is kind of like the emptiness that's left from whatever this open wound is, whatever this old wound is. They're like old feelings, old emotions, old stuff, old garbage. And it's got a lot of dry black openness to it. Yeah, it's non-emotional. That's the bottom line. How can we best work with this energy? They're just look at it. Just look at it. Not the feelings, not the emotions. Just look at this thing. And kind of how far you've come, or what you've become from it. It's completely dried out. And so it's more about perception and perspective than anything else. What have you gained from this old wound? What have you learned? What do you see now? They keep repeating, it's dried out, it's dried out, it's dried out. This is it's not an issue anymore, but it's something that maybe they're it is the completion of the whole process of processing it, the experiencing it, the turmoil, the not allowing, the allowing, the acceptance, the grief, the loss, the emotional turmoil part, the trying to figure it out, trying to understand everything, and then coming back to this open wound, and it's not harmful anymore. What story has unfolded since the corresponding new moon in Cancer on June 25th, 2025? What story has unfolded for us from the corresponding new moon in Cancer, June 25th, 2025? The things that triggered it. I'm getting the relationships that triggered it, whether it's friends or family, things like that. Partnerships, all kinds of relationships. They're something about jobs, colleagues, coworkers. We're just it's less taxing. We're less taxed around whatever this confrontation of the old wound was. It's something that may have been bothering us for years. like over and over again. Oh, this thing, this type of person, this type of relationship, this type of dynamic, this type of situation, whatever, kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And now it's old and it's all dried out. And it's like an old pattern that's being like, we've processed it, we understand it, and like we're stepping into something new. They actually said we're stepping down. That's interesting. We're stepping down from it. Like not really like looking at it and trying to figure it out from like a higher perspective anymore. It's just kind of like, it's very like factual and practical. It's like, okay, like this is the thing. I'm not emotionally charged or triggered by it anymore. I've seen it in and out. I've tried to figure it out. I've figured it out, parts of it, whatever. I understand what I understand, and I know that there's some things that I'm not going to understand, and that's okay. So the best way to work with it is to really just kind of like, they're saying old perception, old perspective. Like just kind of hold it, look at it, be like, this is a perspective. This is a way of looking at things, thinking of things. And it's almost like this, like heavy glass ball, like it's clear. It's like a magic crystal ball. And it's clear now. Like maybe before it wasn't clear. Now it's totally clear. You're holding this crystal ball and it's clear. And they're like, you can toss it now. All clear. All clear. You can see it. It's completely transparent. It's contained in this little orb. It is what it is. Like, again, you're going to understand what you're going to understand. You're not going to understand what you're not going to understand. And just like we're letting it go. We're like dropping it in the trash. It's garbage. Sorry, that was the what story has unfolded since June 25th, 2025. It's really around like old relationships, relationship dynamics, and like how we connect with each other. But it's like this stuff, the old emotions, it's crystal clear. We're done with it. We can drop it. What has come to completion or culmination under this Cancer full moon? What has come to completion or culmination? These old dynamics, these old situations, these old relationship dynamics that are simply not working for you anymore. And I'm seeing like the hermit and like retreating into the cave and like doing all the thinking and the healing and the figuring it all out and like coming back out and maybe not being ready and giving it a try and the small failures or whatever, quote unquote, what we consider failures, like, oh, I did it again, or I'm doing that thing again, or I'm in that dynamic again, or whatever. And they're like, it takes time. And then it's like this time, it's like being confronted with the dynamic. Maybe it was much easier to like let go or drop the relationship. It's dried out, it's less emotional. And maybe if you did have a reaction or a trigger to recent ones, new ones, or repeat ones coming back, maybe your recovery from it, the processing after, the aftermath, there may have been bursts of emotion, which they're calling, these were releases. You may have had bursts of anger, sadness, or anguish, or grief, loss, whatever, disappointment, frustration, all the things that we have from like an emotional feeling perspective. We may have had some strong bursts of it to like release it kind of in like a chunk, like one chunk. But now it's like dried out and you're just like kind of accepting of like, all right, I know I'm susceptible to this type of dynamic and it's not emotional anymore. It's like they're kind of like, we're all cried out. We're all cried out about the stuff that we've been crying about for years. And we take responsibility for our part in it, right? We see where we fall short for ourselves and for others. And I'm just getting that these are like crystal clear dynamics. It's like, okay, like I have had this habit of doing this thing and getting involved with these type of people and like the acceptance and the allowance of just knowing and taking responsibility for yourself and being like, there's something here, and maybe I get out of it sooner, or maybe I pick up on it quicker. But it's very much like returning, they're saying like returning to the one, like to you, returning to yourself, coming back to you and taking responsibility for like your actions. And they're saying speech, kind of like the red flags that we ignored, the red flags that we allowed, the red flags that we excused or convinced ourselves that like this is the right one. So what's come to completion and culmination is they just said like lying to yourself, like the ways that we lie to ourselves to like excuse our behaviors and the behaviors of others. And they're like, very clear. It's very clean cut. And it's not a big deal. And we're not like blaming ourselves or blaming others. We're just like, all right, this dynamic, it's like, it's a work in progress. And it's old processing. But again, it's not as emotional this time. Or if it was in shorter bursts, like maybe a day or two or a couple of weeks. And then it was like, ooh, all dried out. Like I'm done. Like I don't feel emotionally charged when I think of this person anymore. I don't feel they're kind of like anything. Your perception, your perspective is like clear and kind of matter of fact and like not a big deal. Cool. What are we releasing under this full moon? They want me to ask what is being illuminated. Usually I put that in the list and I forgot to this time, but let's go there first. What is being illuminated for us? These feelings of emptiness and how we like satiate. They're showing like a beautiful like white room, and there's like a tiny little black ball or like black hole in the center of this white room. And they're kind of like, think of like the white room as like your whole being, your whole existence, like your vessel. And sometimes that little black hole, that emptiness that's in our hearts that needs to be satiated or others need to satiate, that tends to be, I'm just seeing like that black hole is like, it's like a vacuum and it like sucks things in. They're talking about like, it could be, the black hole could be in your heart and you could be kind of like sucking the love and the life out of others. But I am feeling a bit more like your love and life being sucked out by others. Like this is other people sucking the life and love out of you. So it's kind of like we're on a spectrum of this. When we have that emptiness feeling, like what we do to like fulfill it, what we do to fill it, whether it's like addictions or like, people, things like that. We could be on either end of that. So take it as it resonates for you. But I'm feeling like the primary conversation is recognizing, what's being illuminated is like recognizing when your life force energy, when your love is being sucked out of you by someone. So they're like, yeah, you call them energy vampires. And like, really, there's just an emptiness in someone's heart and they're trying to satiate that emptiness. They're trying to fill it. And when you tend to be like an overly generous or overgiving person, like your energy just kind of emits that. And so, of course, someone like a vacuum that's like walking around in the world is going to go, if you emit that, right? Your generosity, you're like, this golden, warm-hearted, heart-centered love that kind of just, you exist. It's just how you exist. someone who's got this vacuum, this black hole in their heart, is going to go like suck it all up. So that's what's being illuminated. And for us to recognize the feeling of when our love is being sucked out of us and when our life force energy is being sucked out of us by someone. So they're like, there's a recognition point, and they're saying it has to happen. It has to happen better for you, because I'm getting that sometimes, like, there's nothing wrong with like your love being pulled out of you, like, because you experience love, right? Someone might be sucking the love, taking the love from you, taking it, and you're not receiving it in return. But there's something to note about when it is being pulled out of you, and it's just like you're embodied with love. You're overflowing with love. And there's something about, like, when we fall in love with somebody, or when we have strong feelings of love for somebody, or we get really excited about somebody, they're saying when those energies are really like heightened and your sensitivity is really high, there's just like a checkpoint that needs to happen of just like, wait a minute, before I become over generous or like give more because I naturally want to, because I'm having these feelings of love and I have all this energy and I want to direct it at a person or people, that over generosity, you need to check in and be like, wait a minute, am I receiving? Am I receiving in return? Is this dynamic, a balanced push and pull, or is it quite one-sided? So that's something else that may have come up for us. Recognizing our over generosity, and they're like, the cue, the hint is when you feel like giving a lot, but you are not receiving in return. You need to look at that. And so there's a little bit of like a test of just like, checkpoint next time, as these things happen. If you're thinking about somebody like, I want to do this and I want to do that, I'm like, wait a minute. Is this balanced? And it's beautiful to want to give. And they're just like, there's also something about when you do have that flood of generosity, over generosity, that you maybe find some other more balanced places to put it, right? Or keep it for yourself, and it's just like, it's like if you recognize that there's no reciprocity, it's like, actually, when you contain that love, when you hold that love, it emanates even stronger. If you're not directing it at one person, if that overflowing is not going in like one direction, kind of like being wasted on somebody, quote unquote wasted, wasting your time, wasting your efforts, your love, your energy, all that life force. If you're not directing it at one thing or one person, you're containing it and incubating it in this bubble, and you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So they're like, next time, if you come across one of these like life love suckers, they're like soul suckers, they're sucking you in. Next time, have some fun. The challenge is to catch it, that you're doing it. But if you recognize that it's not reciprocal and this is not going to be a balanced thing, you'll do whatever you will with the relationship, disengage, cut it off, drop it down a couple tiers, like whatever you need to do with that relationship. But pay attention and hold on to the feelings that it's providing in you, the energy, the life force, the love that's emanating from you. Because they're like, it's coming out of your pores. It's like everywhere you go, you're emanating that. And then I'm getting, instead of just like one person benefiting from you, just by existing, multiple people are going to benefit from you just by walking around. So they're like, try that next time. You're better at catching this. Sure, we're all going to, like, they're saying, quote unquote, fall short for ourselves. And like, we'll get into these dynamics again. Like, they're tricky. They're always tricky. you don't really know, you don't always know right away that you're in them until like down the line, right? It takes time to get to know people. But they're like, next time, you know, enjoy kind of like holding on to it and containing it within yourself and being embodied in it and embracing it within yourself versus like giving it away to somebody or to like one somebody. Okay. Now, what are we releasing? What are we releasing under this Cancer full moon? What are we releasing? They're like chains cut, cords cut. I'm just seeing so many threads and chains and cords being cut. Cut, clean, cut off. It's natural. It's happening on its own. We don't have to like necessarily do any rituals. I don't get the feeling that we need to really like solidify any particular rituals. I feel like these cutoff points, these clean cuts are guided and supported and happening in like an ethereal realm with the help of like our spirit guides and our higher selves. So you don't have to do anything. There are going to be some pretty sweet clean cuts. And they're like chef's kiss. Like it's so clean. Like you got nothing to worry about. These cutoffs are clean. And all you have to do is disengage. All you have to do is leave it alone. They're like, not contact, like, don't get involved. This is going to be easy, like much easier than like anything before. It's not sticky, it's clean. What's the most important message we need to know about this Cancer full moon? What's the most important message we need to know? Falling apart. The black holes are falling apart. Let them. And if you're holding a black hole, let it happen. You're going to reach a breakthrough. You're going to reach a breaking point, and it's going to get better from there. They're saying the black holes are crying out for help. So those people who feel so much emptiness in their heart are crying out for help. They're getting help, or they're searching for it. They're kind of like those who like want to be better, and then there's plenty who don't. You know, for themselves first, right? And then for others, because of the ripple effect of that. So if you don't want to be better for yourself, then you certainly can't be there for others. You can't be better for others. But they're like the black holes are crying out. So like all of those people, those soul-sucking energy vampires, they're just saying in hell with themselves. And they might hide it very well. You might have no idea this is going on. Or you might know. And it's like, I'm getting, don't save them. This is not your job. Like they need to do this by themselves. So like these very like, they're saying like the narcissistic paradigm, the narcissistic black hole. They're kind of saying like obscene selfishness is crying out. Like kind of like under the radar. I'm getting like that emptiness. I'm getting like almost like a whimpering in my heart. That emptiness that needs to be satiated. I'm getting like it can't be until they take care of themselves. It can't be until they learn to love themselves. They're like self-love. They're like eye roll, self-love. Like accepting themselves, accepting their mistakes, forgiveness, forgiving themselves, forgiving others. Like they have a lot of work to do on themselves. And I'm getting like something about 10 years ago. They're like 10 years ago, many of you started working on yourselves, started doing the work to like be better for yourself, and started understanding, like really resonating with like what is self-love. And like I was missing it, I'm like, I'm missing self-love. Am I missing self-love? And so they're like, it's like a 10-year timeline. So like for those who they're saying are like more grounded or like empathetic and compassionate, definitely have an easier time, or had an easier time with this. It's going to be much harder for this group 10 years later, because it's like, it's almost like y'all had to go through that for 10 years to change so drastically and dramatically over 10 years, right? It's a slow process, but it's like a full change. And you had to do that to like set an example for like how it's done. And so there's a huge wave of like darkness that is going to be crying out for help, because they just can't like take it anymore. And so like they're like, this is a thing. This is a thing. This is part of the darkness that's going to be playing out in 2026, of like how those empty, soul-sucking people, they said half-hearted, empty, how they're going to be doing soul searching through like their darkness. And also their darkness could be spilling out like all over the world. So we could totally be witnessing a fair amount of this. They're saying like in the public eye, for those who like desperately need to be seen like in media outlets, and they're kind of like, what that means, like who those people are. This is going to be playing out in politics. It's going to be playing out in like celebrity, of them maybe actively, maybe performatively getting help, reaching their breakthroughs. So like the darkness gets help. And let me see. There's something about it being laughable, because it's something that like so many people saw all along. And it was like, they're showing like bulls, like these people are like bulls in the world, and they just like bulldoze people and run people down, and they're so aggressive, and like everyone else saw it. And we're like, there's something, like you need to work on yourself, like you need help. And so it's not like mocking them that it's laughable, but it's kind of like, it's about time laughable, just like, yeah. But also it's the like be humble about the fact that like you've been doing the work for like the past 10 years. And this is like their first run. And so you have to remember how hard it was for you like 10 years ago doing that work and starting that work, and like the process over 10 years of doing that. And they're just starting it. They're just getting started. But also like they have way more shit to do, to take care of about themselves. They're kind of saying like a higher pile of receipts of damage that's been done. So they're like, this could get ugly, but it's not your job to save them. There's a bit of take distance. There's a bit of be kind, be friendly, but like disengage either completely or like as needed for yourself. And it's almost like, again, with this be laughable, it's just like, let it be entertainment for you. But also like while you're looking at them, like have compassion and like remember where you were, and like remember who you are, and remember who you've become and how hard you worked. And also just be grateful that it's happening at all, that people are doing this work at all, and that it will take some time. They're like, for them to catch up, 10 years. They're like probably less. They're like 5, 7, something like that. Because I'm getting like they're more desperate to figure it out. and the way that they like bulldoze and charge through their problems, they'll probably bulldoze and charge through their work, you know, their self-love, their process and stuff. So they're kind of like, just look out for it, but disengage as needed. Anything else? What's the most important message we need to know? Hold on. I'm getting the word like negotiation and also like interrogation. Like I'm like in an interrogation room and there's like a dramatic swinging light. I'm just like sitting at a desk. There's a dramatic swinging light. What is this interrogation? Spotlight, highlight. Being hard on yourself. Being hard on themselves. But it's like it being in an interrogation room by yourself. Like no one's actually interrogating you. You're interrogating yourself. And they'll be interrogating themselves. So these things could be isolated, like happening like in solitude, in private. And they're just like, if it's happening to you, then it is your business. If it's happening with someone else, then it's not your business. Something about mind your business. Mind your business. With people's like personal feelings and emotions. Because something's very like touchy about that with these people. Ooh, don't dig, don't try to help, don't try to be the savior, don't try to be their healer. There's something about don't touch. Like when they're in the interrogation room of like themselves. Okay. I don't know, it's kind of strange. I'll have to watch that back. Anything else? Final messages on the Cancer full moon. They're like, that's it. Okay. So that was the Akashic Records on the Cancer full moon. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.